everybody. Welcome to Veteran Uncensored with Chris Rodriguez. This is one of another live shows that we're going to do this week. And we're going to talk about the latest and trending stories in the United States of America with an unbiased point of view. And a lot of people will say unbiased, but everything you say is pretty much right leaning or leaning towards the right and conservative. Well, I am not a conservative person, but regardless, I try to be fair, and I will do that. Now, it's up to your party, I guess, or the story's trending. You know what side I'm going to take on. If everything that's out there it makes me lean towards the right, well, I have no choice, and it doesn't matter. I don't wake up every day thinking I'm going to lean towards the right or I'm going to be a Republican today. To me, I don't care. To me, this whole party thing is an abomination to the United States of America. There is no democracy when everybody just votes for their political party, whether it's a Republican. You talk to a MAGA guy, nothing they do is wrong. When you talk to a Democrat, nothing they do is wrong. The other guy is the wrong. And it's laughable to a certain extent. As laughable is what's going on in California, in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is being right now is it's torn apart. It is sad what's happening on the West Coast in Los Angeles, the second biggest and largest city in the United States of America, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate what they've done. And again, I don't want to be pro MAGA or pro Republican or right or pro right in this sense, but the fact of the matter is that Gavin Newsom has been a horrible governor of that state, and he is proving it right now. Now a few things that kind of I thought he was coming in towards the bright side when he started speaking against biological men competing in women's sports, and I thought maybe there is a bright side in all of this when it comes to Gavin Newsom, and then he immediately started dealing with this situation in California and dealt with it in a bad way. You can agree or disagree, but at the end of the day, the fact that millions and millions and millions illegal immigrants came to the United States of America without any reservation or any sort of procedure to keep track or actually find out who they are, whether they are criminals, and therefore not allow them entry. Because I know that a lot of them, but still the minority in my view, but a lot of them are law-abiding citizens that want to come into this country and want to live a lawful life and want to migrate towards this great country of ours and and live a good life. Unfortunately, the vast majority or the majority of these people that are noticed are criminals, are murderers, rapists, um, thieves, whatever you want to call them. And we got plenty of those in America, born in America and American citizens. We do not need no more of those to come in to make this country what? A laughing stock. We don't need MS-13. We don't need uh, Mara Salvatrucha, which is the same thing. We don't need the Venezuelan, gang uh, affiliation that came over as well. We were filled with those guys. We don't need those. We need good, sober and moral, prudent people in this country. We need those good people to come into this country, and unfortunately, these bad ones make it horrible. Is we are, I mean, just show what's happening in Los Angeles right now. It's laughable. It's sad the way they what they're doing to this country. Is an abomination. Look at that, burning the city down with no reservation. They are tearing down Los Angeles. And we're going to get into a lot of things, by the way, that are happening. And you're going to agree. And, you listen, I'm not, a few things that are going on there that you're going to agree with me if you're on the left side of things. But then again, I like to be unbiased. I don't care about this left right thing. I care about what's right and what makes sense. What's right and what makes sense. LA unrest continues as 700 Marines will deploy as immigration protests continue, according to. By the way, I'm reading. This is how one of the things that I don't care about right or left. I'm reading NBC News here. NBC News. Okay, it was updated just a minute ago at 6:58 Central Time USA. We are live, literally updated 2 minutes before we came on live. And by the way, we are live on Rumble. We are live on YouTube as well. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Again, my name is Chris Rodriguez, former U.S. soldier, U.S. veteran now, and we're going to talk a little bit about the military as well being deployed, the National Guard being deployed, and some of the nonsense that we are hearing from certain individuals. Like we're gonna get into that, right? Because it just makes no sense. Certain things that people say make absolutely no sense. But regardless, what's happening right now, according to NBC News, reportedly left-wing propagandist, I could care less. They're going to write here that the troops in L.A., about 700 Marines from the Marine Corps based in 29 Palms, California, will deploy to Los Angeles to support the roughly 300 National Guard members already in the city to control protests against federal immigration raids. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said President Trump had earlier ordered the deployment of 2,000 troops in a move California government Gavin Newsom criticized as inflammatory. So Gavin Newsom is very much in the eye of the storm right now at this moment in time, and we're going to get into a lot of the things that he has been saying, and he's been certainly very much going at Trump and his cabinet full force. So we're going to take a look and listen at what he is saying. And again, you know, he's going to do his thing, right? He's going to go against this, and he's going to, I guess, just go against it, plain and simple, and whatever. But the fact of the matter is, he could have had an opportunity to save the city, his state, and actually go with what the president ordered. No matter how you want to look at it. And I know that Los Angeles, Southern California, is very much a Hispanic, Latino place. I'm a Hispanic. I'm a Latino. I speak Spanish. I was born in Peru, came to the United States when I was 14 years of age, decided I'm an American now, joined the military, and it's the best decision I ever made. And I also have family members that have tried and came here illegally by marriage or by family members on my side that are good people that deserve an opportunity. However, it doesn't change the fact that they came here illegally, just like a lot of these illegal members. And by the way, none of these protesters are actually, the illegal members that ICE is looking for, right? A lot of these guys are just U.S. citizens that their family members are. But regardless, this nonsense that you see on your screen is pretty much irrelevant. And what I mean is, these are these looters, these thieves, these people that are throwing rocks, trying to harm police officers or ICE or whoever they may be, law enforcement, are criminals. This is not the way to go about it. They don't understand that doing this makes Hispanic people look bad. Doing this doesn't help their cause. I mean, actually, a lot of these idiots will go to prison, go to jail, and they'll get out. They'll get out at some point. But they are actually doing a bigger. They're creating a bigger problem for the actual immigrant that is that's come to this country to do the right thing. Yes, a lot of those good and sober, moral, and prudent people, immigrants that came here illegally. Let's get that out the way. But they said, you know what? I'm going to be at the mercy of the government, but at least I'm going to try to make a better life for myself. When I get a job, I'm going to work. I'm going to pay my taxes, and I'm going to be a law-abiding citizen. It is a small percentage of people that do that, that pay their taxes on top of that. And these actions, these looting, protesting, and rioting makes these good, sober, more important people look bad. It doesn't help them. It's detrimental to them. But these idiots that are vandalizing California at the moment don't understand that. They don't get it. They simply do not get it. They're doing what they did over here in St. Louis when they were talking about the racial injustice against the brown kid. His last name was Brown, by the way. He was an African American. They said that he was unjustified. It was an unjustified shooting, and all they did was riot. They called it protest, but they were rioting, burning the city down, stealing, burning businesses, small businesses owned by black people as well. They didn't care. They didn't care about their race or what they were supposedly protesting about, which is not a protest, it's a riot, and any riot is not good. They didn't care about any of that. All they cared about is stealing, looting, and that's it. That is it. Right? And this is what's going on. A few things that we're showing a few images now going on. What's happening over there? Some of these arrests being made here in Inglewood, California. Look at this, man. Look at this right here. Throwing stuff, rocks. Look at that, right into the windshield, possibly injuring, possibly killing a police officer. Do you think that's okay? Do we think that's all right? Do you think that should be allowed in the United States of America? That's what's happening right now. That's exactly what's happening right now. Um, how did this start? Well, the protest erupted after immigration customs enforcement officers carried out raids Friday in 3 locations in Los Angeles, where dozens of people were taken into custody. Newsom called the raids chaotic federal sweeps that aim to fill an arbitrary arrest quota. So Gavin Newsom basically came out and said these arrests are being done by people who just want to add up the numbers and use it for their personal motives. And that, of course, has created a situation between Trump versus Newsom, who is going to get very spicy here in a minute. We're going to cover all of that. And also Tom Homan, who's been involved, who's been in the eye of the storm, I guess you can say, for the good thing. But look at this idiot. And the Homeland Security want to know who this idiot is. Look at him. Throwing rocks right at law enforcement. And I'm telling you, there was a story once upon a time about kids that were throwing rocks from a bridge into a highway. They ended up killing someone. They were young kids, just being idiots, really. They went to prison for it, for murder. These idiots are doing the same thing. You can't tell me they don't want to. Why would they throw rocks at cars if they don't want to harm them? They want to harm these police officers. And they did, and some of them did that. And Homeland Security was trying to find this idiot here throwing, this imbecile throwing rocks, and hopefully they find him and throw the book at him. Hopefully they do that, because look at this. It's unbelievable. That's what's happening in the United States of America. And by the way, it's not the first time. I mean, they've done it with African American protests, black people protesting, and they started looting. They started destroying the cities. And again, as I said, they didn't even respect their own ethnicity and their own people. And they said, you know what? Let's not loot the black businesses. They're our people, right? If that's what it's about, really, unity. No, they didn't give a damn. They started looting black businesses as well. Black owners were like, wait a minute. We need law enforcement. That was in the time when they said don't back the blue and defund the police. Remember that? The joke? Well, that was happening here in the United States of America. All right. Well, what's happening? Look at that this one right here is unbelievable. Poor law enforcement officer. And again, it has nothing to do with color. This is a black officer. I think there's a Hispanic officer in the back, a female. They're all being attacked and assaulted by these lunatics. They're simply lunatics. That's who they are. And again, they should be found and thrown the book at them because of what they're doing. Gavin Newsom wasn't bothered, but I tell you who was bothered: the police. That's who were bothered, because their sheriff, their chief said, "Listen, we cannot do it any longer. We cannot contain them. It's too much. I'm begging for help." And President Trump had to help. He had to bring in the National Guard. My wife was in the National Guard. She's Mexican American. Her parents are Mexican. And she agrees. If the police can't contain you, you have to bring bigger and stronger forces. And that's certainly what they did. Donald Trump is in charge of all aspects of the military. All. Certainly the National Guard is subjected to the governor's mandate until the president raises his hand up and all of a sudden it becomes his. And he's the one that activated it. And let me tell you something. Local law enforcement They couldn't contain them. They needed help. They needed help. It's plain and simple. Look at this right here in front of your screen. Shout out to N Wokeness, by the way. Good stuff. Good reporting. Look at this, man. Burning cars, burning the city down with the Mexican flag, which is something else that we're going to talk about, I guess. But I tell you what, it's laughable. It is laughable at best. What's happening here in Los Angeles? Destroying tourism. Nobody wants to go to LA right now. Look at that. Who wants to go there with these people? Who wants to be in that area? It's just unbelievable. This is crazy, right? This is beyond anything. A Mexican flag there, burning the U.S. flag. These idiots, these imbeciles, these lunatics, these deranged people. It's a United States soldier. I take exception to this. I don't like when people kneel for the flag. You might have your own personal agenda, and you might say it's not about the flag. It's about what I'm believing, what I'm protesting about. Then keep protesting, but do not put the flag into it. Don't kneel when we're doing the national anthem. Don't burn the flag. Are you kidding me? In the military, if you are overseas and dare to destroy the flag of another country, you are persecuted to no end. I've known stories when I was in the military, somebody being in Italy, and he was a stupid soldier, to be fair. He grabbed the flag of Italy, and he did something horrendous to it, very disrespectful. Chain of command had to expulse him from the military. That's a story that I've been told by my superiors. Always respect, because when you go to South Korea, when you go to all these other places, I've been to South Korea, deploy there, they tell you got to respect this country. You come here, you're a visitor. You are helping us. You are helping the country, because essentially we are helping South Korea, we're helping Italy, Germany, etc. We're helping each other, but you've got to respect the country that you are in. Burning and destroying the flag over that country as a military man, it would be catastrophic for your career at best. And these idiots have the audacity to protest against immigration, or the immigration actions that are being taken by President Trump, Tom Homan, etc., Sexhead, and because they don't want to be sent back to the country. They don't want to be deported from this country, and then they want to wave a flag that doesn't belong to this country. You tell me how that makes sense, because I'm not understanding. You tell me how that makes sense. And again, I don't want to keep repeating the same thing over and over. Me as a Hispanic man has been told, go back to your country, boy. Multiple times. I grew up in the country. When I came to America, I came to the country. I come to Missouri. I live in the country. People have been racist to me, but I don't let that determine how I live my life. I don't let them win. It doesn't matter to me, because I'm stronger than that. I have convictions, and I love this country. That should never be allowed. That should never be allowed. And these things keep happening. It's laughable at best. So let's go with Trump versus Newsom. Border czar Tom Homan threatened Newsom and Mayor Karen Bass with arrests if they impede troop deployment efforts. Newsom responded by saying, "Tom, arrest me. Let's go." Now, Trump backed Homan's threat, and Newsom called it an unmistakable step forward authoritarianism. You call for the man to arrest you, and you're going to be mad that he arrests you? What kind of? How does that make sense? It makes absolutely no sense. You called him to do it. Do we have the clip for Mr. Newsom here, where he says that? Let's take a watch.
The fear, the horror. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn. But I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So, Tom, arrest me. Let's go.
The perception is there's a lot of...
It's been here 10 years.
Wow.
The fear, the horror.
So that was Mr. Gavin Newsom telling Homan to come and arrest him. Well, you call for it. So Trump backs him up on it, and now you complain about it. Come on, man. How does that make sense? Make it make sense. Whew, there's a lot going on. Now, Gavin Newsom did say that he was going to sue Donald Trump based on what he's doing. Supposedly, that's wrong. So let's take a look at what Newsom had to say.
What is your main message to the people of California in this moment?
Oh, that Donald Trump is reckless. He's immoral. He's taken the illegal and unconstitutional act of federalizing the National Guard, and he's putting lives at risk.
I mean, is it truly unconstitutional? I know it's been done before.
Well, I mean, in his own executive order, it directs the Department of Defense to collaborate with state governors. So by definition, it's illegal. There was no collaboration. There was no counsel, no consideration of the rules of engagement. It was a reckless act that has led to conditions that have been exacerbated, and it's putting people's lives at risk.
So can't he declare an insurrection and go forward with this?
Yeah, he potentially can, and there's latitude. But as it relates to the actual language in his executive order, there's a reason we're going to court tomorrow, and the reason we're confident that we will succeed. That said, he's pushing now out the boundaries, whether or not we're going to get into posse comitatus and whether or not he's going to test the theories in that case to then require the state National Guard in a federalized posture to coordinate and collaborate with ICE enforcement, which certainly would not have a precedent in 100 plus years.
You think that's going to happen?
I think we're on the precipice of that being a real possibility. I have zero confidence. He's acting recklessly. He's acting unlawfully. He's putting people's lives at risk. And it's my job to clean up Donald Trump's mess because he's making it by the hour.
You guys talked the other night, right?
Yes, we did.
What was that conversation like?
It was a very collaborative conversation. It was a very good conversation. And he didn't really want to engage on the issues of LA, which was the great irony of this. He wanted to talk about a myriad of other issues. There was no suggestion, none, period, full stop, about the National Guard. Quite the contrary. And by the way, I have a lot of experience with the National Guard. So do you here in LA.
Right.
We've been using the National Guard. I've directed the National Guard down here prior as it relates to issues during 2020 riots. And so we have no ideological opposition of utilizing the Guard, but there's zero necessity. There was no request of mutual aid. LAPD, the Sheriff's Office, no request. CHP, more than capable. We've got 175 CHP off today because of what Donald Trump did with the National Guard.
But we see.
But here's the problem with that. The sheriff came out, the chief came out and spoke and said, we cannot handle it no more. We need help. He came out and said that. So you tell me who are we supposed to believe? Who is the president of the United States supposed to believe? The chief, who's actually on the ground? Well, maybe not, but his people, or the governor that's not for this. Who are they supposed to believe? It makes no sense. So I think they were violent. They were burning cars down. They were destroying businesses. I mean, what else do you need? It's under the president's discretion. We've always known as military servicemen that this can happen at any moment given time. The president can choose to activate his right to handle the National Guard. Now they're going to send Marines, which is very much a thing. Now listen, does Trump feel that he's not going to be able to win this sort of whatever being sued by Gavin Newsom, and therefore he's activated the Marines because he obviously has every right. I mean, there's a federal entity, the Marine Corps, It's the same as the active duty U.S. Army and the Navy, there or the Air Force. So he doesn't need permission from the governor to activate nothing those branches of the military. And as far as I knew, he didn't need a permission to do that with the National Guard. So we will have to, I guess, wait and see when it comes to that. But things are getting pretty hot. As far as arrest, at least 56 people were arrested this weekend as protesters were ordered to leave downtown and law enforcement shot less lethal rounds. Demonstrators spilled out onto the 101 freeway while others set fire to Waymo driver's list cars. So you tell me, that's not violence? That's not violence. And the last thing I want and need at this moment, and like to see, because in this touchy subject, the last thing you want is this person to be involved. Maxine Waters. What in the heck is she doing? This heifer shouldn't even be doing what she's doing. Shouldn't even have a job. She's got to be close to 90, if not over. And she is pointless. She's really pointless at her job. She ain't got a damn clue on what she's doing. In how she approaches things, it makes no sense. You know what? Let's roll the clip when it comes to who was it? Let me see, Maxine Waters, and supposedly, I don't even want to do it, to be honest with you. It's just so frustrating. Maxine Waters denied entry into Los Angeles. That's funny. She got denied entry into the Los Angeles detention center. And what was she trying to do over there? It makes no sense. Anyway, let's roll the clip.
And the LAPD police chief, Jim McDonnell, says the level of violence he's been seeing across Los Angeles, in his word, and I'm quoting him now, is disgusting. Given that, why shouldn't the National Guard be involved?
Well, I was surprised at the way that the police chief was describing all of this. There had been no violence where anybody that was protesting hit anybody, shot anybody, threatened anybody. Nothing had happened. And so he doesn't know what to do, probably, because this is a sanctuary city and the police don't have the authority. All that he's got to do is work with the governor. The governor was not even called when he sent in the National Guard. The mayor was not even called. The president is initiating this purposely. He knows what he's doing. If he was, thinking, well, first of all, he started all this with the targeting, all of the migrants in the way that he's doing. And so, if we had people who were working together and cooperating, the governor would have been contacted, the mayor would have been contacted, and they would have said to the police, whatever the sanctuary city is, if we need to undo that at this time so that the police will have the authority, we can do that. But no, the president doesn't want that. He wants to use his power. And I am predicting he will go so far as to create martial law.
I just want to point out, and I'm sure you know this, Congresswoman, there has been some violence in the course of these protests. Some police officers were assaulted, and some vehicles were damaged in the process. So there has been some violence out there, right?
Well, the thing about it is you may have people, one or two or a few people, who will not conform. That happens everywhere. That happens in our workplace. There's always someone who does something. But we are saying to people, don't be goaded. Don't be goaded into a confrontation. Don't be goaded into violence, because that's what Trump wants. He wants the violence so that he can send in the military and create martial law. That's what he wants. And if a few people were doing that, I've not heard of anybody being shot. I've not heard of anybody being killed. I've not heard of anybody being beaten. So I don't know what all this so-called violence is all about.
All right, Congresswoman Maxine Waters of California, thanks so much.
She's denying there's any violence in California right now, in L.A., or before, I guess, the military were deployed. I wholeheartedly take you guys to the beginning of the show where we were watching clips of people getting decimated, vehicles, people throwing rocks and moving vehicles, moving law enforcement. And I think it's sad, laughable of Maxine Waters. Maxine Waters is just, I mean, to be honest, it makes no sense. And she did have the door of ICE, the ICE facility slammed in her face by a cop. Let's take a look at what happened here.
No, I want you to. Hello, hello, hello. Congresswoman Waters, I just came to use my congressional authority to check on David.
Ma'am, we're lobbying securely now to all visitors.
Excuse me, I need to get in.
Contact our public appeal.
I need to get in.
What
are you hoping to do, Congresswoman?
I just want to see David Werta. Right.
Would a congressperson normally be able to enter the...
Normally, yes.
What is happening here?
Well, there were some of the authorities, I don't know who they were, and I'm trying to get in to see David Werta, who they have arrested. He is the head of SEIU local union here. I don't know why he was targeted. I don't know what they're doing with him. I don't know whether they're going to deport him. I want to report back to my caucus about what's happening, but they have... No, I want you...
She's out of breath. She is, she's about to pause. If I'm Maxine Waters' family members, I'm literally have to look myself in the mirror and say, how am I letting my great grandma go out there and do this when she doesn't have the? What's up with all the Democrats, by the way? They just want to be old and decrepit. And by the way, I criticize the same thing when it comes to the Republicans with certain individuals. But if you're old, man, let it go. Haven't you made enough money? If you have not made enough money as a politician after 50 plus years of being a politician, then you definitely just are never going to catch up. You're broke because that's got to be for money. I don't understand it. You're old. Let it go. It makes no sense. She's out of breath. I mean, come on. If I'm a family member of this lady, I am literally livid. Not at ICE for slamming the door on her, at myself for letting this woman just come out. Like, come on, man. Like, it just makes absolutely no sense. Let this woman be, and she's huffing and puffing. It makes no sense. Now we got some facts here from Mr. Steve Crowder, who's a big follower of Steve Crowder here. And he's got some facts about immigration. Steve Crowder says, here are some fun facts about Major Bass. Number of illegals in LA County, 810,000. Just in one county alone. As big as LA is, LA County, still, that's a lot of people. 810,000. Cost of illegal immigration to the California taxpayer is $31 billion annually. Annually. I mean, this is, I'm telling you, this amount of money is it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Let's put it on the screen, please. And the number of illegals arrested in 2024 LAPD sting that had charges for violent crime, including murder, 26 illegals arrested, including murder. But he says, ironically, but sure, Donald Trump wanted to remove illegals is the problem. Let's go with that. And clearly that's not the problem. President Trump wants to, I agree 100% with Trump. You have to. If you love this country and are not for an agenda, you have to 100% agree with this approach that he's taking. Now, certain things you can twitch. I honestly, I'm an immigrant myself, and I know for a fact that there are immigrants that come here illegally, that we started off the wrong foot, plain and simple. All right, I agree. But they come here, work legally, due to a working permit, pay their taxes, which the majority don't. Pay their taxes. They're law-abiding citizens, don't commit any crimes, live their lives as any other American citizen would. And it is a privilege. It's not a right. I understand that. But these rights are not helping these people, a minority of people that pay their taxes. They're law-abiding residents, not U.S. citizens, but not even residents really. But, they get to live with a workman's workman's permit here. They are hoping for asylum. They have a legitimate reason to seek asylum. They come here, they work, they're law-abiding citizens, and they pay their taxes, that they might hope for a better opportunity, might hope for asylum. They're doing the thing the right way. But these illegals, immigrants that are not doing it, that are committing crimes, stealing, raping, murdering people, and coming here just for no reason, don't pay their taxes. They're just doing a disservice to these people that want to do it the right way. And it's I know those people that are good, and it's blasphemy, and I hate it. But I know those people that are that do a great job, and unfortunately, they're gonna be tainted by these idiots, by these criminals, and it's unfortunate. And I just hope and pray that this government, it will do them good as well. By the way, it will do them good to help certain individuals, which are the minority, literally the minority. Immigrants that came here illegally, that pay their taxes, are law-abiding citizens, and do things the right way. They have a legitimate reason to seek asylum. They exist, and these people are tainting them with their disgraceful acts. And I hope that this government will have mercy on these individuals that are not a lot of people, but we'll have mercy on them because they're doing the right thing and they're not involved in illegal gang activities, drug activities, and all that stuff. Let's go with Steve Crowder here. Let's react to this video.
Here we go. Let me set this up for you before we get, and we have some montages for you, and we have claims and truths from the governor, from the mayor, as well as a Reddit retard segment where they compare this to January 6th. It's all so tiresome. But November 19th, 2024, 2 weeks after Donald Trump was elected, right, a mandate from the masses, Los Angeles voted to become a sanctuary city. Let me give you a list of numbers to start this off for context. 810,000, 31 billion, and 26. That's the amount, okay? That's the amount of illegals in Los Angeles County, 810,000.
Wow.
That's the amount, 32 billion, the amount that illegals cost California taxpayers annually, just California. It's about 400 billion for the American taxpayer. And 26 is the number of illegals that have been arrested in 2024 from the LAPD that had charges for murder, homicide, assault against children. I believe this was one sting, just to be clear. So remember those numbers. 810,000, $31 billion, 26 illegal aliens arrested in a sting in 2024, and that this city voted to be a sanctuary city because they just don't want to be subject to the rule of law that you voted for while they accuse you of subverting democracy. It's time for Golden State of Crime.
There you go. We had to mute that one. But look at that. Look at what they're doing. Boom. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Not so much California love anymore, shall we say. But look, those are facts, man. That stuff that he was speaking of, I mean, it's unbelievable. $31 billion a year on illegal immigrants. And again, a lot of these people are good working people, by the way, good human beings. We can't say that all of them are the same. Now, they did commit the same crime, though, come here illegally. But after that, they try to live the right way. And these idiots, I can never state it enough. These idiots are making it. These imbeciles are making it even tougher for these wonderful people that maybe could deserve an opportunity. And it's laughable at best, as I was saying. And by the way, I don't pick sides here. I agree 100% that January 6th was just is the same as this. The same. Violent riots, burning down the monument, tearing down the White House, the Capitol. They're the same. In my opinion, they are the same. Riot are no good. Violent rioting are no good. You're not call it for what it is. One thing doesn't make the other one right. It's plain and simple. They're both wrong. And I'm not going to come here and I'm also going to criticize sometimes some of the actions of the police of Los Angeles, because they did, very much a disservice to. Let me see here. Lauren Tomasi was in LA. She's an Australian reporter. She was shot by an American riot police with a rubber bullet right to her leg for no apparent reason. It was unjustified and vicious. She was doing nothing. Let's take a look at this. She's literally right there, and she gets shot right in the leg.
You okay?
I mean, this is unbelievable. You know, let's take a look at it again.
You just shut the fuck up. You okay?
What an absolute idiot. What an absolute idiot. What is the matter with this imbecile? He needs to be reprimanded at best. I know that's been my favorite word today, but at best he should be reprimanded. What are we doing here? He literally just shot somebody for no reason. Either he's an idiot, he shouldn't have a rubber bullet gun with him or in his hands, or should be fired. You can't do that. If it was a deadly weapon, what are we talking about here? She's a reporter. She earned the right to report. Let her do her thing. That's if he did it intentionally. If he didn't do it intentionally, then he's a bigger fool than I thought he was. So I'm criticizing both things of the aisle here. Come on now. We got to have some competent people. At some point on either side, we need to start having competent people. President Donald Trump here put it on True Social that we made a great decision in sending the National Guard to deal with the violent instigator riots in California. If we had not done so, the Los Angeles would have been completely obliterated. The very incompetent governor, Gavin Newsom, he said, and Mayor Karen Bass should be saying, "Thank you, President Trump. You are so wonderful. We would be nothing without you, sir." That's what he said. Like, Trump he's crazy, man. Instead, they're choosing to lie to the people of California in America by saying that we weren't needed and that these are peaceful protests. Just one look at the pictures and videos of the violence and destruction tells you all you have to know. We will always do what is needed to keep our citizens safe so we can together make America great again. So that is as far as the LA riots. It is very unfortunate, very weird, this whole situation, and hopefully it gets sorted and effective immediately, and we don't have to deal with this stuff again, because it is very much tough to do. So now we're gonna move on though rather quickly. Let's go move on with other news, because Abrego Garcia is coming back to the United States of America. He is, being charged with AG Bondi, Attorney General Bondi has specified what he is being charged with. They wanted him in America. Well, they got him. Let's take a watch and listen what Attorney General Bondi is charging Abrego Garcia with.
He was a smuggler of humans and children and women. He made over 100 trips. The defendant abused undocumented alien females, according to co-conspirators. This defendant trafficked firearms and narcotics. A co-conspirator also alleges the defendant played a role in the murder of a rival gang member's mother.
So let's take a watch then at what Fox is saying about this.
Because anti-ICE riots are breaking out across the country, mostly from North Los Angeles to New York, where we're seeing the worst stuff. Yesterday, as protesters demonstrated against the ongoing operations. The violence escalating, as you can see in California, as cars were set on fire. Officials dressed in riot gear used rubber bullets to disperse those crowds.
President Donald Trump is deploying 2,000 National Guard members to Los Angeles to combat the issue, slamming Democratic leadership, saying, quote, "We have an incompetent governor and mayor who were, as usual, unable to handle the task. These radical left protests by instigators and often paid troublemakers will not be tolerated."
Meanwhile, in New York, nearly 150 protesters clashed with police there as well, trying to block federal authorities from conducting immigration operations in Lower Manhattan. More than 20 people were arrested on that scene. So let's bring in Fox News Sunday anchor Shannon Bream. Shannon, it's great to see you this morning. I'm glad to have your legal mind for some of these topics. Let's start with what's going on in California. Governor Gavin Newsom.
Well, we already talked about this enough. This video is supposed to be about Abrego Garcia, but I guess Fox didn't care about doing what they're supposed to do. So let's move on to the next video, which is saying that Bernie Sanders, please, man. We got to talk about him. Okay, let's Bernie Sanders. What is he doing? Anyways, let's take a listen to what he's had to say here.
So much for being here. I'm going to start where I left off with the Congresswoman. What is your response to the fact that the president has ordered 2,000 National Guard troops to California?
Look, Dana, we have a president who is moving this country rapidly into authoritarianism. He is suing media who criticizes him. He is going after law firms who have clients who were against him. He's going after universities that teach courses that he doesn't like. He's threatening to impeach judges who rule against him, and he's usurping the powers of the United States Congress. This guy wants all of the power. He does not believe in the Constitution. He does not believe in the rule of law. My understanding is that the governor of California, the mayor of the city of Los Angeles, did not request the National Guard, but he thinks he has a right to do anything he wants. And I would say that to a large degree, the future of this country rests with a small number of Republicans in the House and Senate who know better, who do know what the Constitution is about. And it's high time they stood up for our Constitution and the rule of law. You know, we just celebrated a few days ago, June 6th, the American landing at Normandy, which began the invasion of Europe to defeat fascism and Nazism. Those guys died. They gave up their lives to defend democracy, not to have an all-powerful ruler in the United States of America.
Senator, you mentioned on a very different topic whether Republicans would stand up to the president. There definitely is some clashing politically, internally, among Republicans on the president's legislative agenda, specifically the giant spending and tax bill before the United States Senate. In order to try to fix some of those internal GOP differences, Senate Republicans are eyeing changes to Medicare. We know there are also $700 billion worth of cuts in the existing bill to Medicaid. Is there anything that you and Democrats can do to stop it, since you just don't have the votes?
Well, let's be clear, Dana. What these guys want to do is, according to the CBO, throw 15 million Americans off the health care they now have, on top of the 85 million Americans who are currently uninsured or underinsured, and on top of the fact that we are the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people. As you may have seen, there was a report, a study done by Yale University and the University of Pennsylvania. They said 50,000 people a year are going to die because of their lack of health care. This impacts not only individuals, it impacts nursing homes, hospitals, it'll impact community health centers. And you know why they are doing this? They are doing this so they can give $600 billion in tax breaks to the top 1%, $400 billion in tax breaks to large profitable corporations. This bill is an outrage, and the American people have got to stand up and fight back. You're asking what we are doing. We are mobilizing people throughout this country, especially in marginal districts that have Republican members of Congress, and demand that people ask their members of Congress, do you support tax breaks for billionaires and throwing kids and elderly people off of the health care that they have?
So you were talking mostly about Medicaid, which is already in this bill, those cuts that you were describing. One of the issues is Medicare, whether or not there will be changes in order for the Republicans to get votes amongst themselves. Medicare is one of the biggest drivers of federal spending. Are you concerned about America's runaway national debt, and would changes to entitlements like Medicare be necessary to try to rein that in?
Donna, let's talk about health care for a moment. As I hope most people know, not only are we the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people, We are spending over twice as much per capita on healthcare as the people of any other country. The function of the American healthcare system is to make huge profits for the insurance companies and the drug companies. And if the Republicans are serious about cutting healthcare costs, you don't throw people off of Medicaid or Medicare. You have the guts to take on the insurance companies who are ripping off the American people every single day. We're spending $14,500 per person on healthcare. Outrageous, unsustainable. By far the highest prices in the world.
Well, I will say I could somewhat agree with what he's saying. I think we can figure out a way to bring healthcare to everybody in the United States. I mean, England does it, and there's a country that we can take a look at and see eye to eye. But this whole thing that Trump wants power and he wants money, I don't really believe that, because he didn't need to come to power to have money. He was already a billionaire. Some businesses didn't work out or whatnot, but at the end of the day, he didn't come to politics to get himself richer and richer and richer. It makes no sense to me. No tax on tips is a big deal and very much famous amongst American people. No tax on overtime, that's a big deal as well with American people. And people want about the American people, the regular guy, the regular Joe working cares about their pockets. That is it. And the economy is a big issue, and that's why people voted for Trump. It's plain and simple. We don't have to sugarcoat it. So I don't agree with a lot of what he said. I could agree with I could go with the healthcare for everybody situation. I think that could be figured out. Now, whether they're gonna release, they're gonna let 50 million people die, or old people, kids, and all that. Listen, I don't want to get involved in that. I don't know, because at the end of the day, is how do you prove that? How do you prove that? It's you hear a Democrat saying, by the way, they call him independent in the beginning. He ain't no independent. Bernie Sanders is a Democrat and a half. So listen, I couldn't throw him as far as I couldn't trust him as far as I could throw him. He's received millions and millions and millions throughout his time. He's a millionaire. I hate how these people talk about, Trump is a millionaire. He's evil. What are you talking about? He's a millionaire. All these CNN journalists are millionaires. Fox journalists are millionaires. What are we talking about, man? It's just this whole thing is just boring. But either way, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Let us go with this one. The rumor report says that Republican forced to say if Elon or Trump are right on the debt. Let's take a watch at this video by Dave Rubin, and see what's happening here.
This is the president's agenda. He ran on making the tax cuts permanent, welfare reform, and border security. That is the core of this bill. And I think all Republicans want to cut spending. All Republicans want to get the debt deficit under control.
My sense basically is that Elon is very focused on not spending anymore. He just spent 3 months of his life working for free, basically 24 hours a day, just cutting. Then he sees this thing that comes in, and I don't think Elon's debating whether it has this $1 trillion plus in savings and some of the tax cuts and all of that, but he's then saying, but okay, you're cutting some of this stuff, but then you're spending a whole bunch more, and long term that is not good. So there is a public fight. It's not even a public fight. There is a public argument. This is what politics is. Politics is trying to compel people to see things your way, to get policies that make sense for you. And there's an argument in the Republican Party right now. I think that's good. Here's Scott Jennings agreeing with that premise.
But this is a big, threat to his agenda.
Well, first of all, they're friends. They get along. Elon Musk had a lot to do with President Trump winning last year and has been a big part of the administration. I don't think there's any reason to go out and trash an ally like Elon Musk.
Well, he's not acting like an ally at the moment.
Well, he has a difference of opinion about this one issue, and that's okay.
In fairness, these people did too. I mean, Rand Paul has the same difference of opinion, actually, on the deficit.
But what the White House and the congressional leadership believe is that this opinion that Elon has formed, and some others, is based on faulty scoring from the CBO. They just have a different point of view about this. And at the end of the day, this is the president's agenda. He ran on making the tax cuts permanent, welfare reform, and border security. That is the core of this bill. And I think all Republicans want to cut spending. All Republicans want to get the debt deficit under control. But this is how the president won the election. The national popular vote, the electoral college, tax cuts, welfare reform, border security. This is the vehicle for that. And I don't think failure is an option.
Okay, so there you have Jennings basically being like, look, this might be an accounting error in some sense, or like that they're just sort of looking at different numbers, or they see the Congressional Budget Office numbers and they're just like taking them in a different way. Again, I don't really know what is true there, but I think you can just see the vision of what they want, which is that Elon is outside of the government, wants cuts. The other guys, and Jennings seems to be on board the Trump position on this, which is that the bill is doing the basic things that Trump promised: tax cuts, welfare reform, border, and for that reason, it's good. And then you can look back onto what I just read from Stephen Miller, where he lays out a little bit more of the specifics.
All right, so that was, thank you to the Room Report for that video. Listen, they can have the disagreements, right? But I think Elon Musk went very far with what he said. I think he basically was throwing a tantrum, and unfortunately, that has caused his friendship with Trump. Trump doesn't want anything to do with him, well, unfortunately, it is what it is, and that's what's happening right now. And therefore, I doubt that they're going to be friends for a while. Elon Musk's father came out and spoke that, they're going to work it out. Regardless, that's, to be honest, none of my business, none of anybody's business, whether they're friends or not friends. But the fact of the matter is, he did not help Trump at all in his he didn't. He defamed him, really. Simply, with the whole Epstein files and all that. If he was involved in that, it would have been told already. It would have been publicized. It would have been scrutinized already. So I don't think that Trump has anything to do there with the Epstein files. But regardless, Elon Musk is the one that made a mistake. That's why he's deleting all his tweets right now. So he's the one that made a mistake. He's trying to own up to it. Regardless, I could care less if they're friends or not. I think that Elon did a great thing for the country, and Trump is doing a great thing as well. The best, to the best of their abilities, obviously, and therefore, it is what it is. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Let us go with the next and last subject in hand, which is about Mr. Simone Biles. I guess basically incinerated her legacy in just 2 weeks. 2 tweets. Not 2 weeks. Says Riley Gaines. She criticized her, made fun of her appearance. Let's take a look at what's happening. It's heating up as Gaines fires back at Biles amid public spat. So let's take a look at what Fox News is reporting at the moment.
Olympic medalist Simone Biles stepping into the trans sports debate, sparring with Riley Gaines, calling her truly sick over her comments on girls' sports. What's this all about? Well, Griff Jenkins live in Washington with details. Hi, Griff.
Hey, good morning, Dana. It seems we have an Olympic-sized catfight on our hands over the transgender athlete debate. Now, look, this all began when Biles slammed Gaines on X after Gaines criticized a Minnesota high school league for celebrating a state title won by a women's softball team with a biological male pitcher. Biles wrote this: "You're truly sick. All of this campaigning because you lost a race, straight up sore loser. You should be uplifting the trans community." She even called Gaines a bully, but Gaines fired back by resurfacing an old 2017 Biles tweet in which the Olympian was reacting to the World Artistic Gymnastics Championship, saying, "Good thing guys don't compete against girls or he'd take all of the gold medals." In another exchange, Biles even compared Gaines to a man as the swimmer blasted the gymnast, saying she might otherwise have never taken the podium. Watch.
If Simone's inclusive dream came true, she would have 0 Olympic medals and no one would even know who she is.
Meanwhile, Dana, the White House is warning Minnesota over the controversial women's softball title, saying in a statement, President Trump is protecting women in sports and restoring common sense. Those who choose to violate federal law will be held accountable. Finally, worth noting, the transgender Minnesota pitcher pitched 5 consecutive games with shutouts in 4 out of 5, including the championship, which amounts, Dana, to 21 consecutive innings without allowing a single run. Dana?
All right, Griff, thank you.
Yeah, let's bring on the host of Outkick's Don't At Me with Dan Dakich. Dan, good morning to you. Nancy Mace kind of got on this thing here with Simone Biles going after Riley Gaines. She says, "Honey, if biological men competed in women's gymnastics, odds are no one would know your name." And then the USA columnist Nancy Armour took the sides of Biles. Simone Biles shows her greatness again in standing up for the transgender community. What's fair here when you've got a transgender male playing on a woman's team?
and leads them to a state championship.
Well, what's fair is, and I've said this forever, this is simple. There's no bylaw that says every transgender person has to compete against women. There's no bylaw for this. There's no rule. There's no amendment. Very simple. If you are transitioning men to women, go play with the men. If you're transitioning woman to men, go play with the men. Everybody plays against the women, and that just simply isn't fair. Nancy Armour couldn't have been dumber. She said there is no biology that suggests men are, in fact, bigger, stronger than women. Well, of course there is. Even Serena Williams, the greatest tennis player of all time, played the 350th ranked male and got whooped. I mean, whooped. The Simone Biles thing is ridiculous. Look, you could respect if Simone Biles had a difference of opinion in this issue. 90% of America believes that men shouldn't participate against women. It's amazing to me we're even having this conversation. But to come out and just talk about being sick, a sore loser, that shows your ignorance. And Simone Biles truly showed her stupidity in this.
I'm Steve Ducey.
Yep.
I'm Brian.
Well, I agree with that part. I mean, it certainly did do that. Let's take a watch of what Riley Gaines had to say about this whole situation.
I wanted to film while my emotions and thoughts are pretty fresh because just last night, we got into a Twitter or an X altercation, if you will, a back and forth with Simone Biles. In just 2 tweets, Simone Biles basically tarnished her reputation to anyone with a shred of honesty, to anyone with a moral compass, and to anyone with an innate desire to protect women, to fight for equal opportunity for both men and women, especially as it pertains to sports. She has what I would believe, what I have seen, this is the conclusion I'm drawing based on the response that we have seen over the past 12-ish hours at this point on social media. She's basically incinerated her legacy in just 2 tweets. So congratulations, Simone Biles. There have been very few who have crashed out spectacularly as bad as this. Let me get something very clear on the front end of this. Simone Biles is a freaking phenomenal athlete. I have had so much joy over the past 8 years watching Simone Biles, watching her compete, watching her succeed, watching her dominate. Like, she is the best of the best, bar none. She is in a league of her own. I have been very public in my admiration and respect, truthfully, of Simone Biles, what she's done for the sport of gymnastics, what she's done for women's sports in general. She is a phenom. That still stands, okay? Like, let's be very, very clear about that. I've respected her. I mean, she's even gone back at this point and seen some of my tweets, again, admiring her. Nonetheless, we got into an altercation, you guessed it, over men and women's sports. I can't even, for the life of me, understand why in the year 2025, Simone Biles would suddenly take the stance that she did.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, I agree with Riley on this one. It makes no sense, but Simone did that, and trust me, it hasn't gone well for her whatsoever when it comes to her the backlash that she's been getting, and she's been awful quiet, to be fair, on this situation, and maybe she does need some time to reflect on herself. Men have no place in women's sports, and there's no bullying. And the moment this stops, I'm sure Riley Gaines will have to figure out something else to talk about. But the fact of the matter is that these people that advocate for men and biological men playing in women's sports, they're doing this. They're provoking this. And it's pretty much a simple answer, to be honest. Don't allow them to. And also, beyond sports, by the way, stop with this advocating for puberty blockers towards to young kids at 8 years of age. What are we talking about? How is that even a thing? How is that conceivable? So there's a lot to reflect on this one. But anyways, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you for being on Veteran Uncensored. My name is Chris Rodriguez. I'll see you guys